All right. Looks like we're in here now. We'll go ahead and start. So thank you for joining us, APTA Student Social, Finding Your Niche in PT Practice. And we're here with Dr. Ashley Johnson. Thank
Hey
you for coming.
guys, no problem, no problem. All right,
Yeah, so
well, oh yeah, go Patrick.
yeah, so please guys, feel free if you have any questions, throw them in the chat at any point. We want to make this an open discussion. So just get involved and just if you have any questions, just feel free to just shoot it out there. But first, we'll let Dr. Ashley introduce herself and kind of what is her niche.
Hello guys, I am Dr. Ashley Johnson, better known as Doc J. My niche is, I guess, the community. It kind of evolved, and I'll tell you why. And this is something that you guys can all focus on as you're going through physical therapy school. I'm from Chicago, Illinois, a small town, Bolingbrook, right outside of it. Grew up being really athletic. I come from a very athletic family. My grandfather was the first Black man to play for the Chicago Bears. My dad played football. My brothers played sports. So naturally, I played sports, basketball, track, softball, and just was always good at sports. And my mom is an occupational therapist. So I was introduced to the therapy world very, very young. I probably wrote my first soap note at 13. She was having me practice, man. She was training me up. She was like, "You're going to be a great PT." And I was like, "Okay." And I never really turned away. I was like 12 and I knew I was going to be a physical therapist. I actually remember having a conversation with my mom when I was in middle school. And she was like, "Hey, you got to be a doctor to be a PT now." And I was like, "What?" And so it was just crazy how I've been watching the profession grow even before I was a professional. Ended up going to IUPUI, Indiana University, Purdue University at Indianapolis for on a volleyball scholarship. After that, I was pretty like dead. So I focused and went and played some more volleyball while I was applying to physical therapy school. Started at Hampton University in 2012, graduated in 2015. Went through a whole bunch of mess trying to figure out who I was as a physical therapist, which has basically led me to where I am at now, and that is in Atlanta, owner of my own private practice, Doc J Physical Therapy, and I now have 3 locations. And I still stick to volleyball because I also do sports med for the junior volleyball athletes here in the Atlanta area. So that's basically me.
Yeah, definitely like just following you on Twitter and just seeing you've been posting your progress, and definitely like I was like super interested when you posted about volley hap
Mhm.
and just how you've taken that to like the next level. Can you
Yeah.
kind of tell us how that started?
It started in failure, and it's so crazy. So I'm at the end of my PT program, and you know how we have, well, you guys will have to do like a research project in your research class, like find systematic reviews, find something novel, and do all that stuff. Well, I was like really bored. My group chose veteran amputees, and that just really wasn't what I liked. And so I would just like search on PubMed and stuff like it was Google. And I was like, volleyball, volleyball this, volleyball this. And there was nothing, like barely anything. We were literally like a sub note from a soccer study or a basketball study. And like we were never like the real study. And it just so happened in 2015, the NCAA released a systematic review that basically said volleyball players get these injuries. We don't know why, we don't know how. Someone solved the problem. And so I'm in my 3rd year and I got so excited. I was like, I want to solve this problem because all the stuff that they listed happened to me. I have 2 knees and had 4 knee surgeries. I've been repairing my rotator cuff for years. Like, and I'm a PT, so I know what I need to do. And it's still like, it's just chronically injured from hitting the ball 1,000 times, 5 days a week for like 8 years of my life. And I talked to my program director. I was like, I want to study this. How do I study this? And she was like, well, if you want to give to research, the best route is to do your PhD. And so I was like, okay, all right. So I started looking at PhD programs, ended up doing an interview with the University of South Florida. Everything was good. Finished 2 years, did my comp exam, denied my dissertation over and over and over and over. And it was so depressing because I've always achieved. Like, if there's something I need to do, I'll figure out a way to do it and do it well. And this was the first time in my life that I did not pass go. I did not collect $200. They weren't having it no matter how much I, would fix it to make them think that it mattered. They're like, it doesn't matter. And I'm like, it does matter. Volleyball is huge. There's tournaments with like 185 teams, 20,000 players that are 12 to 18 that play this year round, and their bodies are dying and somebody needs to speak for them, and I'm that person. Long story short, I split with USF, didn't get my PhD. And at that point, I kind of went through depression a little bit, went back to volleyball, started coaching, started seeing girls get injured. And then my mom was like, you know what? You don't need a PhD to bring light to something that is a problem. She's like, get a platform, focus on your volleyball community and do what you can do to get them better. So I started doing volleyball sports med in Tampa. And from there, it just boomed. Moved to Atlanta with a goal because Atlanta is like the volleyball mecca. So I actually uprooted myself from Tampa to Atlanta because of my community, because of the volleyball community, and how big and strong it is here. And I found one of the largest clubs in the Atlanta area, pitched them what I wanted, pitched to them what the problem was, and they welcomed me with open arms. They were like, I wasn't even asking to get paid. I just needed bodies. I just needed someone who would let me implement my volley hat program and let me record baseline and post measurements. And they were like, you can do it. And actually, we're looking to expand. So we're going to have this whole little gym area and we'll let that be your sports med area. So I literally volunteered my time and my skills and my knowledge to this volleyball program because I knew if I was able to do this at this magnitude, it would grow and that could be something I could build my career on. So that's how Volley Hab started.
Thank you for sharing. We have a question. What are some of your strategies for finding whether or not a market is for your niche?
Correct. So this is a question a lot of people ask, and my answer is you have to be a community member. You have to be inside that community, get inside that market, go to the restaurant, figure out like, what do? You can't just be a PT. You can't do it. If you're just a PT, then you need to work for a big box company that's just going to keep you working and keep you doing what PTs do. Now, if you want to be a PT that people know by name, that come because of you, you have to be a member of that community, whether it's a church, a knitting group, a moms at home group. It's not really the location, right? Because the location doesn't matter. It's just, where's your community at? Where are you moving at every day? Who are you talking to every day? And if you don't have a community that you give like, oh, I do this on Sundays, or this is people that I hang out with often, you need to open your social circle and really immerse yourself in your community. And then that's how you find where your niche is, because no matter what you choose, whether it's yoga PT, women's health pelvic PT, pediatric peds, neuro, no matter what, those people are in your community and you have to pluck from them. In Atlanta, I'm at like festivals, I'm talking to people, I'm watching people walk, I'm observing behavior, and I'm putting myself out there. I find the people that fit my niche in the community, interact with them, and that's how you build your niche business, basically.
Next question from our Director of Communications. Dr. J, what's your practice model and how did you decide the best way to serve the community?
So my practice model was formed from my disappointment working as a physical therapist. So I'm a very interactive person. I love creating relationships with people. That's always been my thing. And so when patients stop coming to see me, I would take that personally because I'm like, you were just trying to have your son marry me. Like, where you at? Like, we're friends, where are you? So, in your job, they'll have you call your patients to see, like, why aren't they coming in? And it was like, oh, I just can't afford it this week. And at that moment, I was like, can't afford it? You have Blue Cross Blue Shield. Like, what do you mean? And then that's when my eyes opened up to you can have like Blue Cross Blue Shield, Humana, Aetna, but because physical therapy is defined as a specialist visit, which is typically a cardiologist or someone that you don't see very often, it becomes not affordable for the majority of Americans. And it started to weigh heavy on my heart to a point where I started doing pro bono work for my patients that I was seeing at my job because they were post-ops. They were post-ops who had kids and jobs that required them to move. And I just couldn't, my heart, I just saw my father, my mom, my auntie, my grandma. And I was like, there has to be a way that a physical therapy business can be lucrative and affordable in spite of the insurance mandates that are set. So when I went into practice, I knew I was not going to be credentialed with commercial insurances because once you're credentialed with commercial insurances, you must you must do according to that contract. So if you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield patient and there's a 20% coinsurance, that patient has to pay 20% of the bill that you're going to send insurance, which for a lot of places is like $130 sometimes for initial evals, 90 to 70, 75 to $90 for 2 times a week, 2 to 3 if you have a post-op and you need to be seen more often. That's just not feasible for most Americans. So my idea was, how do I find out what's affordable for them and what will make me money? So I basically was like, I'm by myself. I have this overhead, right? I have my rent, all my equipment and stuff. I saved up money and bought all that, so I didn't have any of that on credit. So I just had my rent at the studio, at the clinic, my lights, my internet, and the rest was based on me paying myself. And so I, budgeted out, divided it by how many days a week I wanted to work. And when I first opened my practice, I only had to make $250 a day to pay myself what my job was paying me after taxes and keep my lights on. $250. That means if I see 10 patients at $25 5 days a week, I have made more for myself, decreased my workload, and allowed access to physical therapy for those who would be turned away, even with insurance. And that's basically my practice model. So I created an income-based sliding scale. The federal government releases what they call federal poverty levels every year. And this model is what they use for distribution of food stamps, housing vouchers, and other social needs, Medicaid, and all that stuff. So I use that framework. And then once I found out where I wanted my clinic, I looked up the median income of my area to see what this area is making. And through the use of both of those, created a algorithm that basically would allow someone to show me their paycheck and for me to say, your evaluation is going to be $250 today, or your evaluation is going to be $60 today. Your treatment is $100 today, or your treatment is $35 a day. Because if I see 10 patients at $35, I am surpassing all financial goals that I had to create for myself. And that is the financial monetary vision that I really, really, really want students to understand. I really want you to go out and when you're going into clinicals, look at the billing, look at what you're charging, look how many units you're charging. How much per unit is the company billing insurance so you can see how much your patients are paying. Ask your patients if they can afford physical therapy. don't just like a lot of them can't and they don't want to say anything. I had someone who was just paying me 50, 50, 50. And she was like, how many times do I have to keep paying 50? I was like, well, you know, is is 50 too much? She's like, yes, it definitely is. I was like, well, how about 35? She was like, oh my God, yes. And started crying. Like she knew she needed physical therapy, but that $15 really changed the game for her. And when you're in private practice, when you're working for yourself, it gives you that ability to uh, change your pay per situation so that you can provide for those who need you most.
Yeah, thank you. So I want to give a chance for anyone that wants to unmute and ask a question. So
I see some questions in the chat. Do you feel PTAs have this same opportunity, have these same opportunities? Unfortunately, not as much because as we know, you need a physical therapist to start the case. So for PTAs, it would be best for you to find a private practice physical therapist to partner with or pair with. And we have all these immense social networks now. So as students, you guys can really start finding each other. Like I wish I could have found other PTs like me. Like there's like 3 of us in Atlanta. And I was like, man, can we form like a super company? Because, this cash wave is it's small right now. So it's hard to find us, but it's growing. So as a PTA, I would definitely urge you just to find a PT to partner with. And I can help you with that. You can always DM me. Someone else asked, what documentation system are you using? PT Everywhere. I love them. I'm gonna plug Jonathan Davis all the time. PT Everywhere, I think I started out, it was like $80 a month or $89 a month when I was just like getting everything together. And now, I have grown my clinic and I have 5 PTs that are working in my clinics with me as partners. So what I have done, because I'm going everywhere, but in Atlanta, a lot of outpatients are not accepting Medicaid as a primary for physical therapy. If someone who has Medicaid comes in, thank you, Chase, for dropping that in the chat. When someone from Medicaid comes in, they ask them for a secondary. So if they don't have Medicaid, they don't have access to physical therapy, even though the state of Georgia gave them a card that has physical therapy benefits on it. So as of right now, I am one of the only physical therapy practices that accept Medicaid by itself for outpatient physical therapy. So I have grown fast because of that. Because of our low income communities, I have grown into 3 clinics. Because I accept the patients that every single practice, Benchmark, Ortho Atlanta, Dreyer, turn away, they have grown and made me money enough to bring on other PTs who I don't hire at an hourly wage. Oh no, they get a percentage of billables just like we deserve, not just a small piece of it. So I have now grown. I have 4 PTs that have joined me this month, that are now partners in Doc J Physical Therapy, and they each have their own locations. So I'm very excited about that. But PT Everywhere has allowed me to literally grow from solo practice to 3 locations with like more physical therapists.
Here's another question for you. One more question, and then we're gonna give it to Teo to give us some announcements. But was the process of starting a sports med program challenging in the beginning?
No, because I was in my community. So I started in a junior volleyball facility. And what kid doesn't want to see someone who played D1 college volleyball, pro volleyball, when the goal is finding the people that respect you without the fact that you're a doctor of physical therapy. The people at the volleyball gym love Coach AJ for Coach AJ. And then when they find out she can fix you, now they really love you. So it wasn't hard starting a sports med because I already had respect within that athletic community. And I understood that community because I'm a member of it.
So we're going to give it to Teo for the announcement, but right before we do that, if anyone has a question, you can either type it in the chat or you can use the raise hand feature and that'll put you on the queue and we'll know to call on you for a question. So Teo, take us away.
Yeah, what's going on, everyone? I hope you're enjoying the event so far. I'm going to first actually pass it over to our Vice President, Sydney, who's going to go over an announcement about the Core Ambassador applications.
Hey everybody, I just wanted to share that Core Ambassador applications for states on the fall cycle are going to open this week on July 15th. And more information about that will be posted on APTA Engage this week if you want to check back for it. But basically, Core Ambassadors serve as the primary link between your state chapter and the student assembly. And your primary role as a Core Ambassador is to foster engagement with students in your state and to just communicate between what's happening at the student assembly and what's going on in your state and represent the interests of each state chapter and all the students in those states. But if you are interested at all, it's a great role to step into, and we're going to be hosting an informational no commitment meeting next week on the 19th. So if you're interested in learning more about the position, either to apply this year or just to know about it for the future, I would encourage you to come check it out and then check back on APTA Engage and reach out to me or the Core Ambassador in your state right now if you have any questions.
Thank you for the announcement, Sydney. So we're going to go into a few other announcements. So first one is that we have our APTA Student Assembly Network for the 2021 House of Delegates. That'll be open until September 12th. We have that headed by Chase, our current SBT delegate. And so we're going to post the link for the group meeting right now if you want to join for that opportunity. As well, we have another opportunity coming up to be a House Usher at the House of Delegates in DC this September. There will be 18 available spots, and it's going to be a great opportunity to volunteer and learn about the House of Delegates and more about the policymaking and how that goes. So please, if you are interested for that, we also will be dropping the link for that. And then we have our July APTA Live celebrating our history, Sunday, July 18th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That's going to be with our Director of Communications, Lindsay Duran, Kelly Quigley, who is our APTA Student Assembly Centennial Ambassador, and Jeannie Blodgett-Burchett, who is APTA's Senior Information Resource Specialist. We will post the link for that below as well so that you can RSVP on Facebook. It'll be live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Lastly, we have our social media handles link. And so if you would like to drop your social media handles just so we can continue these conversations afterward, that would be great. And that is all the announcements I have for now. So I'm going to pass it back over to Patrick.
Yeah, so if go ahead on your social medias, hashtag APTA Student Social. And if you learn anything or you just want to share your experience, go ahead. We got to get the exposure out there. And then we got few more questions for Dr. Ashley.
All right.
So next question. Are you offering other specific programs directed at the community?
So I basically just do the VolleyHab. That's my specific one. I do have a Fit Safe program. So it's basically like that bridge between physical therapy and their active life. And it's a monthly membership for just people that are in pain or had PT and still in pain, and they are active individuals that want to go back to the gym. Those are my only two. So VolleyHab and Fit Safe.
So for people who don't have a specific sport like volleyball, how can we find our niche?
What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? If you don't do anything, it's gonna be mighty hard. You're not a niche person. You're just a general person. You have to figure out, what do you do? What do you like? Do you like dogs? Find some dog walkers. That may be your community. You have to, that's something that I can't answer for you. You may have to like go deep into your inner self and figure out where your tribe is at. Who are your people? Are they the anime? Think about high school. You got your anime group. Are you an anime person? Anime people they're sitting watching TV, playing video games. They need a PT, someone who will talk to them and understand anime. Do you like to play cards? There's your group. Go to card tournaments. What do you like? You like to watch movies? They really need you there. You can have a movie group, get your movie people together, start doing stuff where people work out in the middle of the movies that they're watching. You like shopping? I'm pretty sure shoppers need PT, arm strength. You just have to find like, what do you do? Because everyone in the world, no matter that's what makes our profession so amazing, because no matter what you're doing, you need a PT. Name a profession that doesn't need a PT. Name a sport, a hobby, an activity that couldn't be done stronger, faster, or safer without a PT.
There you go. Did your opinions change on the relevance / importance of PhDs because of your personal inclination of something that you were passionate about?
Yes, I hate them. No. I think, I feel, I believe PhDs are necessary for research and pushing the profession forward in a scientific manner. Our profession needs PhDs because other professions have PhDs pushing their profession forward. When it comes to, this is a big issue that has been going on even when I was in PT school. They always talk about how, there's a gap between what the research says and shows and the application to the patient. And there's just a huge gap. And I think the PhD is good for pushing forward in the scientific way, but not good for implementation at the community level. And so I think what needs to happen is people like myself who may have the research training that I got the 2 years preparing for my PhD on how to study, how to conduct a research study, but then take it to their communities and actually conduct them there outside of what they deem an optimal research environment. Because that's basically why my research study, I guess, wasn't what they wanted, because it was just out of that box. It didn't look like normal research. So I think it's an opportunity. My failure is an opportunity for us as PTs to understand that research is necessary, but it's up to us, the non-PhDs, to apply it and test it within our communities to see if this research that they're putting out is in fact exactly helping and moving us forward. We can't just let them do all this research, let it sit on a shelf and nothing happens to it. We have to put that research to the test and apply it. And so that's all I got to say about that. They're still important, but I don't think they're relevant to at the community level yet. I don't think it is.
So we have another question, Dr. J. As a certified personal trainer and future PTA, something I've thought about was helping patients who cannot afford PT after a certain amount of sessions. Is this something that is possible while staying in the scope of my certifications?
Yes, for sure. Because I work with, so I know the owner of the Planet Fitness around the corner from me. It's franchise owned and he has a lot of personal trainers. So I have actually trained them to handle my post-PT patients, taught them a little about closed chain, open chain, about rehab progression versus strength and agility progression. And my personal trainers have been integral in continuing that rehab type, I don't want to say rehab, it's like fitness, but they understand that these people came from injury and weakness that could possibly cause something else. So they grade them very carefully. And so as a as a certified personal trainer and a PTA, yes, for sure, you could do that right now as a PTA student because you're within your personal training certification. And all you're doing is using the knowledge of injury and how not to hurt them anymore to help you use your personal training certification.
At this time, I would like Meredith Gardner, if you have a question, you can go ahead and ask it.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. So I'm sorry, I have kind of a complicated question. So I really want to go into acute care. I want to be a physical therapist in a hospital, specifically like directly post-op or ICU. So something that I get concerned with is like nobody asks to get hurt. Nobody asks to go to the hospital. So how can I, help patients deal with, the high hospital costs or, where to go next after their ICU care when they're transferring to outpatient? Because I can do so much to help somebody, get out of bed and start walking again. But then how do I help them find a good PT, that might be good for their socioeconomic status or where they're from or how much they can afford after the hospital?
Right. So that's a great question. And that was one of my first jobs. I was at Florida Hospital working in acute inpatient. And I was upset with how they controlled the discharges, like who stayed, who left. I had patients who needed to stay, who were kicked out, patients who didn't need to be here, were getting 2 PTs, 2 OTs in a speech every day. It was crazy. And when I just started finding mobile PTs. I literally was like in Florida, like on Instagram, mobile PTs in Tampa. I would call them and I'd say, hey, do you take this, yada, yada, yada. And I literally became kind of a conduit for self-employed PTs before I was even one of my own, because I understood that there's a gap. Like a lot of patients don't get discharged to SNF. They get discharged home to home health that's cut off after like 2-3 weeks, and then they're left by themselves. And so, like I've been saying, we have to network together. We have Twitter, we have Instagram. Find the PTs in your area. We have to do the work to connect the patients to their neighborhood PTs. And it's just exhausting, especially when you're working in a job because you already have so much to do. This is like the social welfare portion of physical therapy. And I applaud you, Meredith, for already being there mentally because it's definitely needed.
From Joseph, what resources or strategies did you use to learn about business/management aspect of private practice?
I'm the daughter of Al Johnson. What can I say? My dad is a businessman. I grew up doing business, man. Like I was the kid that was selling chips out the locker. I was always trying to make money because my parents I'm the oldest of 5, so I had to get it. Like if they couldn't afford it, I had to find a way to get it. So I want to say that naturally I have been preparing for this my entire life. And like I told you, I started out doing cash. So it's just like, add that money up. It's gonna come. How much you gotta spend? How much do you want to make? How do I make more? How much are you willing to spend? How much am I gonna make? And how am I gonna make more? And that's basically how my practice started. I have never taken a business course, never had a marketing course. I just know what I want. I know what my community needs, and I know how to monetize off of it.
Thank you. We have about 10 minutes before we'll break out into a breakout room. So we just have a few questions left. So type it in the chat. Let's get those questions flowing. We have another question. What does the process of starting a new clinic with partnering PTs look like? And also, what do you look for your partners to already have beforehand?
Great question. So the PTs that I wanted to join me actually reached out to me. that's why I've been using my Twitter platform to say thought-provoking things, kind of get people out of the weeds. And that's basically what happened. I found people that agreed with things that I was tweeting, said they felt the same way, and they're in a position to make an exit from their current job. And if they were to join me, how does that look for them? So like I said, my biggest thing is having our degree work for us. We bill and make so much money with this license that we have, but we just get deduction after deduction for being hourly or salary. It's not even 10% of what you can probably bring that company, which is unfortunate. So basically, after looking at what I have in insurance billables for my federal payers, looking at my cash and my motor vehicles, yada, 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 I literally presented my financials to these PTs. And I said, as a PT of Doc J Physical Therapy, I offer you this percentage of billables. Are you ready to go? And that percentage of billables is probably 2 to 3 times what they would make as a salary physical therapist for their outpatient companies. So it was easy for them to make that transition. So one, I wanted them to have the same value as me, which is why I had them come to me. It wasn't working when I was looking for PTs. I probably interviewed 15 to 20 to join me, and it just didn't work. And I was like, well, this sucks. And then I went the other route and I was like, let me see if I can pull some people out, read their tweets, see if they're disgruntled, see if I did my research. I literally put the line out there and I just called them, and I'm ready to see how this works, basically.
Dr. J, how do you or have you combated burnout in your experience as practice?
I quit. I quit. It's so unfortunate. Like, I just got tired. There's so many patients, so much documentation. Then dealing with the clinic environment, I wasn't very comfortable or happy in. So I would say I graduated from Hampton in 2015. I immediately went into my PhD, canceled that in 2017. So while I was working on my PhD, I was PRN at Florida Hospital right across the street. Went into my first outpatient job in 2017, quit after 6 months, went into another outpatient, quit after 4 months. Then I quit PT. I quit. I became a private volleyball coach because of my college and pro resume. I was getting $100 an hour teaching little girls how to play volleyball. And that was more than what I was making as a staff physical therapist. So I was like, I'm frustrated. I found another way to monetize. I basically give up on PT and I'm just going to do volleyball. And it was my mom who basically said, don't be pushed out. You're too good at this to just be pushed out because you're uncomfortable. So you need to find a way to make this work for yourself. And that's my burnout turned into my own practice.
What a story. So we have Gus has his hand raised. Go ahead, Gus.
Hey, Dr. J, I think it's really amazing, the stories and tidbits, not tidbits of information, but pearls of clinical experience you're sharing with us. And I just want to ask you something. You're talking about burnout, all these things you're doing, what you're talking about interviewing individuals. Like, what's it like now, like time-wise, when it comes to the business side, to the family side, and balancing those things out, or getting those things? How do you organize your time? I guess I'm saying now compared to when you did quit and you're like, screw PT, I'm something else. Like, what's that looking like?
Right. So it's crazy. My time was horrible. I've had horrible time management. It's me and my boyfriend. We have no kids. I have all the time in the world to grow something if I wanted to grow, which is a blessing. So in the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, my story started, I was still working full time as a staff therapist while I launched my business at night in the volleyball gym. So I was at my job from 7 a.m. to 4, in the volleyball gym 5 p.m. to 11, Monday through Friday. And then I covered weekends at the volleyball gym, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturdays and 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Sundays. I did not sleep. I was ragged. There were times where my boyfriend was just like, stop. And I was like, no. And I'm just gonna keep on pushing, keep on going, because what drove me in this madness was, as tired as I was, working 40 hours a week, seeing 14 patients a day, at least I'm working for myself, building my brand. I enjoy it. I love the space that I'm in. My patients are getting better and I'm getting paid. I was doing $50 treats at the volleyball gym. My schedule, I was seeing 10 to 12 volleyball girls between 5 and 11 p.m. That was literally 2 times what I was making at my job, working 7 to 4, seeing 14 patients, built like through my job. And I basically did this. When does volleyball start? It was like November, December, January, February. COVID hit. COVID kind of helped me. So I went 4 months to, 16 weeks nonstop. But I made enough money between 5 to 11 p.m. to open up a brick and mortar. So I put in 4 months of undaunting, not sleeping, grind. I'm at strip clubs at night. I'm just getting money wherever I can. PT, not on the pole, not on the pole. I'm doing whatever I can to get money so that I can invest in myself. And it took 4 months of grind for me to have enough money to open a brick and mortar, buy all my equipment in cash, not have to take out any business loans, and to have enough clientele that I knew once I opened my door, I would have a full schedule. So there was no balance. But now I have a personal assistant, 4 other staff PTs. My days are light. They're light, and I love it. And I can treat when I want. My biggest thing now is that I just want to create this life for more PTs. So I'm now looking to do more locations on the same cash-based model, to put more PTs who want to leave their corporate job and hopefully make this like system that is for us and for our community and no one else.
Thank
I
you.
love it. Just PT wherever it's needed. Late nights, wherever.
Wherever.
We have 2 more questions before we try to break out into these breakout rooms. If there's any more questions, we'll try to connect on social media. Doc J, you'll have to drop your social media handles.
Oh, for sure. Doc JPT. I'll drop it. It's fine.
Yeah. We also have another hand raised. DeAndrea.
Hi, Dr. J. I've
Hi.
been following you on Twitter for a while, and I'm glad that you mentioned the strip clubs and stuff because I was wondering, do you still do that? Because I remember that thread and I've just been thinking about, well, I'm still a third year. I don't graduate until December, but thinking about, is there a niche for because I've been seeing a lot of plastic surgery and.
Oh, I could get, oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Feel about PT in that realm of
Entertainment, for sure. That train has not stopped. I actually have people in there for me now that know what to look for. I'm the person, I get girls who can't feel their legs, who are not walking after bad BBLs. And they're all from our community, just taking the short route. So yes, it is needed. It is misdiagnosed and undiagnosed because I think it's like, what did Dr. Miami say? Dr. Miami just did a study and he said 65% of his patients are Medicaid. 65% of people who get plastic surgery are Medicaid patients. They are paying in cash. That means when they need their post-op treatments and stuff like that, they're on long lists. They're not getting seen at a timely manner. So those are, yes, I still see those women, and that's why they're in my clinics now. It is an epidemic. It is a problem, and I encourage you to for sure do that. You just have to be that personality. That's okay, being in that atmosphere, letting the vaccines and all that stuff. If you about that life, then yes, they need you. They need you bad.
Thank you.
All right, one more question. How do you help patients who are unable to make it in person due to limited transportation, secondary to socioeconomical factors?
Yes, so Medicaid provides free transportation for all of anyone who has Medicaid. They get free transportation to any doctor's visit, even to the grocery store, I believe, if they live in a food desert. So it's all about just enlightening those people and letting them know what services they have available to them. I'm also launching my own transportation company this upcoming fall because I found out that there's more Medicaid people that need to travel and not any transportation companies to help. And the state of Georgia doesn't have the budget to increase their own transportation services. So they're looking for smaller ones to build. So that's something that I'm looking to dabble into this upcoming fall.
Thank you. Thank you. So in just a minute, we're going to transition into breakout rooms. We like this opportunity for students to interact with each other as well. So don't feel pressure to stay, but if you like to meet and chat with other students, we'll hop into breakout rooms. Dr. Ashley, feel free to hop in as well. If you have more questions and you just want to connect with Dr. Ashley, so follow her at DocJPT. What social medias do you have?
That's Instagram and Twitter.
Okay. So one last question. What age group did you enjoy working with as a volleyball coach? And then we'll transition into a breakout room.
This is a good question. Because I played at such a high level and I'm very, very competitive, I can only really coach elite. Or I'm like kicking and screaming. I'm real like, are you kidding me? All I need you to do is this. Da, da, da. I'm a whole different person when I coach. So I typically like to coach people who are I only coach players who want to play in college, high school level and above. Now, if I'm doing volley I love the babies. But for real volleyball, it has to be high school age and you have to be like wanting to play in college. I can't do no beginner level 15-year-olds. I'm not the coach for them. Let's say that.
Thank you. All right, so in just a minute, we'll transition into the